back, fish heads to Waterbox Live here on Thursday evening.
Yep, welcome, welcome. You can see our Instagram there to follow us. I actually posted something today.
Good.
Really proud of myself. I'm really
I think
bad
I posted
about
something last week.
I'm so bad about it. I gotta try better.
I posted last week. I'm trying. But definitely hop over there and follow us. You can also follow the official Waterbox Instagram at Waterbox Aquariums.
Yep, should definitely do that. Today we're talking about the importance of using RODI water in a saltwater aquarium, as well as like RODI unit and like how it works.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go all over details of that. And we also will have a Q&A later.
Yes.
So drop your comments and your questions and everything into the chat so that we can pull those later and we'll spend some time doing Q&A.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Engage with us. Post the questions. We're here live. You get to actually engage with us live, so take advantage of that. Pretty exciting show. If you guys haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit its best friend, the notification bell right next to it.
You never tell them to punch the buttons anymore.
Punch the like button.
There we go.
Hammer fist the like button.
Get violent. No.
Yeah, that used to be the thing. It was like very aggressive.
It was very aggressive. At some point you toned it down.
Well, all right. So you guys get the point. Like, engage with us. The currency to win is engaging with us, asking questions, making friends in the comments, liking the stream.
Yes.
And learning a little bit too.
Because we are giving away 2 Waterbox t-shirts at the end of the stream. So like you said, the currency is active in comments, questions, all of that good stuff.
Yep.
So, all right. Let's talk RODI. Let's talk about water. Let's talk about all that good stuff. I find a lot of times that people that are getting into the hobby or newer to saltwater, even if they've been in freshwater, are quite intimidated by an RODI unit.
I was.
Yeah.
For sure.
We get a lot of that through like support and questions and just like that. It's just like, how does this thing work? Do I need it? So we're gonna kind of go over all of that. But first we have to talk about why is RODI water so important, especially in a saltwater reef tank, or really any saltwater tank, but especially reef tanks.
Right.
Main answer for that, tap water is disgusting. It's full of organics, salts, minerals, chemicals, all that stuff. And the overall, what you call that when you're testing your tap water is TDS, which is total dissolved solids.
Yep. It's all the junk that you don't want.
Right. I mean, some people may. I mean, I don't usually like drink tap water. If we purify it, imagine what you're putting into your tank if you're not purifying it in a way for your aquariums.
You're making me feel bad. Now I feel disgusted. No, just kidding.
Well, okay, so the average tap water has 350 TDS.
Oh my gosh.
Is average. And that can, of course, some areas are cleaner. I've tested out tap water before that was 500-600 TDS. And that's all stuff that would be going into your aquarium that you don't want to.
Wow.
Your RODI unit actually takes that TDS down to 0. So, you're not adding any of that stuff in, especially in a reef tank. You want to have a perfectly pure source of water. And when you add your salt to it, you're adding everything you want to it. You're not getting anything unnecessary. All your minerals, all your elements and stuff like that are coming in with your salt mix. And you don't want all that waste and organics and stuff coming into it.
So you're stripping that down to like as pure of water, just H2O as you can.
Yep. It's like a non-charged water molecule.
Nice.
As pure as it can physically get. Don't drink RODI water on a regular basis. I mean, you would have to drink gallons on a regular occasion, but it's actually so pure that it can pull like stuff strip everything out of your body. It would have to be in a great amount, but just don't drink it. Drink RO water, not RODI water.
Yeah.
A little side note. You're like, oh, it's so clean. I should do that. No, don't drink it. It's not best for you. All right, so why are dissolved solids and stuff so bad for your aquarium? So the chemicals that come in, I mean, we all know chlorine and all that stuff is in your tap water, but also nutrients. You can have nitrates and phosphates and other organics in your tap water. And then if you're using that, it's putting nutrients back into your aquarium. Doing a water change with dirty water doesn't get you much further. And I even recommend using RODI water, highly recommend it, for fish-only tanks. Reason is, it's already a high nutrient system.
It's already dirty,
It's already a dirty system. You usually have big fish that make a mess, eat a lot, poop a lot. So you don't want to just be, like you said, water changing and putting organics and nutrients and stuff back into the water. And you can, of course, buy RODI water and pre-mixed at your local fish store usually. But a lot of times, if you've got anything over than a small tank, an RODI unit pays for itself pretty quickly. Right. And you're not lugging, going to the fish store.
What size tank again would you say is like where's that like threshold where it doesn't make sense anymore?
I mean, I think if you're like at a set point, I mean, I think having one even for a small tank is just convenience factor. Yeah. It does pay for it eventually. But as far as like offset and like recouping your initial cost pretty well is around a 50 or 60 gallon aquarium that I think just initially invest into the RO unit. Thinking if you're filling like a 50 or 60 gallon, you have to go to your local fish store with 5-gallon jugs. And if you don't have the buckets, you usually have to rent them. And you're then paying by gallon, you have to lug them home. So convenience, I think, has a big factor into it too.
That's a big thing for me. Even if I had a small tank, I would want to have it.
Yeah, make it whenever. Granted, emergency happens at night, emergency happens on the weekend, you don't have to truck down to your store. So, I think they're invaluable to almost anybody with an aquarium.
Well, that's a great point. If there's an emergency, if you are buying water, you should have extra on hand.
But you can't just have salt water on hand indefinitely either.
Yeah, that's true. But there's positives and negatives of going to pick up water. Yeah. You get to visit the local fish store.
Yeah, and see
your
what wallet they got might like it, might not like it.
Yeah, exactly. You might be spending far more every time you visit the store than just on water.
I'm guaranteed.
Who's going to walk into the local fish store and just buy water?
Not usually. Not usually at all. But yes, I mean, it really comes down to like your personal choice. But I think a lot of times people continue going to their store, even if they have larger tanks, is because they're like, oh, I don't even know where to set this up, how to set this up, how does it work? It is an upfront cost. So we're gonna go talk about what it is, what the filters do, how you would set it up, how it works. Really very simple once you kind of get a visual and explanation on it too. So remember, drop your questions in the chat.
Yeah, definitely ask your questions. Before we jump into that, just real quick, are we talking this mostly for saltwater or just for saltwater? What about freshwater?
So yeah, RODI units can definitely be used for freshwater. The thing you have to remember though is because it is taking it to such a pure level, it's not like saltwater. You're mixing it with a salt mix and getting everything back in it to you want. So it is too pure to use in a freshwater aquarium. You do want to use a remineralization like powder or additive. Okay. And also the pH is super low. Still going to give you a much cleaner option than using tap water, but you do have to take a few extra steps and make sure that you bring the pH up and remineralize it with a product to get the hardness and all that stuff where you want it to be and have.
Now, what about
minerals.
without the DI stage? Would that
still too clean?
Still too clean.
Yeah, so and I know a ton of people in the freshwater community definitely do use RODI or RO even, but they just add a product to it after the fact to make sure that it's not too pure, too low pH, that kind of stuff.
So you're kind of like stripping everything out and then adding back what you want.
Right, and then, I mean, that's really the theory of it, saltwater or freshwater, is you're taking out all that stuff that comes in your tap water that you don't want going into your tank. And that works for really any type of aquarium you have. It's just a special consideration for freshwater tanks.
Got it.
Good question, though.
Thank you.
Did you take someone's question?
Well, I saw some chatter about freshwater, and I was like, well, that's a good point. I didn't see it in your notes, I don't think.
It wasn't. I thought about it if we should talk about it, and then I didn't add it, but there we go. All right, so perfect. RODI unit, you have a couple different ways or places that you can put it. If you want to make water just as you need it, it can hook up simply to a faucet, a hose adapter, anything like that. The RODI unit comes with the little, and it's like a general faucet adapter. If your faucet's different size, you can get an adapter from a hardware store and work it down. So this is just going to be, okay, I need to make water, let me set it up, washing machine line, kitchen sink, wherever, with this adapter. From here, if you're setting it up that way, bring out your unit, make water, put it back away. If you got the space, especially if it's a larger aquarium, you're gonna want to set this up to be a more permanent solution. And a lot of times what you're going to do is have trash can, buckets, or storage water vat that you actually have this tied to at all times, and it's going to constantly make water for you, or you can turn it on as needed to let it fill a larger volume. So our units all come with an auto shut-off box. It's located and already installed up here. and then a float valve. Right there it is. So this, you can basically drill a hole into a water container, install this, and whenever the water level drops, the RO unit's going to kick on, going to fill. Whenever the water level hits to where the float valve is, it's going to shut the unit off. So you constantly have water available. It'll kick on as needed.
So that basically puts like a back pressure on the line.
Puts a back pressure. Now, if you don't have an auto shut-off box installed on your RO unit, this will not work. It's going to generally cause a higher rate of failure. You want the auto shut-off box because that senses that little bit of back pressure and stops everything. So that's a component that's really necessary, not just a float valve. You can't just throw one of these on a regular RO unit and have it work as well. So
auto shut-off is the key.
Yeah.
Which is a little box back here, which you could probably look. Not gonna be able to see it from here, but you can look that up online. Auto shut-off valve.
Yep, auto shut-off. So that's your two main ways. Kind of a permanent setup for constantly making water and have it on hand. Make as needed. Either way you have it set up, how the system's going to run is going to be the same way. Right here. So if you got faucet, wherever you hook it up to, comes included. Your tubing here feeds into your first chamber here. Oh, I'm backwards. Here. So water comes in. Your first cartridge is the sediment filter. So this is a 1 micron sediment. This is going to take out any larger particles, anything that's not just water. So this is like your forefront barrier to any sediment, particles, that kind of stuff is going to get caught here.
So 1 micron.
Very, very, very small.
Very tiny.
Yeah.
Compared to a filter stock, even like our smallest micron is 100, right?
Right.
So that's...
Yeah. So the main thing is
different.
as you get through the filters, you can't have larger sediments and chemicals and stuff getting to the other things. So we're going to talk about that. So your sediment's going to take care of all of your particles in the water, and then it's going to come over to your carbon. The carbon filter takes out chemicals like the chlorine and stuff like that. So it's going to help start the purifying process of your water. If you have heavy chloramines in your water, and you can check with your city or wherever, you will want to run what's called a chloramine buster carbon. But most people don't need to, but it is something to kind of consider.
Nice.
So that's going to do some chemical removal for you. And from here, it's going up to the top large canister, and this is where your membrane is housed. The membrane does 90 some odd % of the work of the RO unit. So this one here, say your water's coming in at 350 TDS, it's going to go through the membrane, and the membrane's going to have an output, and this is your wastewater. And then they're going to have the good water that continues on. So this membrane's going to take that 350 TDS and take it down to like 2, especially whenever the unit starts first running. So it's doing majority of the actual push out. What comes out of here is just basically tap water, slightly more concentrated. If you've got this set up somewhere, you can use it for a washing machine, you can fill a pool, like people have them run out to their pool, garden. Really you can reuse it or just let it go down a drain, it's up to you. But it's just pretty much tap water coming out. And then from there, your last and final stage is the DI, so deionization cartridge. This is resin that's in there. It is color changing, so it will change colors as it becomes exhausted. And this is now going to take that TDS that comes from the membrane, say 2, or it will increase as the unit gets a little older, and take it down to 0. So that's what's completely purifying it from just RO water down to the RODI, which is an uncharged water molecule, nothing to it.
Nice.
We do have also the 5-stage. So this is the 4-stage. We have the 5-stage, and that's going to have 2 DI cartridges that go in line. And that's just going to be, usually if the more water you're making, it's just better to have that as basically double redundant in case this one gets exhausted. You have the backup.
So longevity in a sense, or just with the amount of water that you're making?
You're going to have to change it less, especially, you know, like here we run the double DI because we're making a lot more water. We have a lot of large tanks around here, and instead of having to constantly change one DI resin, you know, you don't have to change it until both become more on the exhausted side. So those are your two options. The gallons per hour or gallons per day doesn't change with the 5 units. So ours are 100 gallons per day. So it can make a pretty good amount of water.
Yeah.
A few things that come on RO unit that are very important is one, let's start with your pressure gauge. So the pressure coming into your RODI unit is going to determine the effectiveness of it. So the very minimum water pressure that you should run through an RODI is going to be 40 psi. And that is like basically 0. Like you don't want to be at 40, but you can get by at 40. 80 is like the perfect level. 60 to 80 is okay. Reason is the more pressure towards that 80, it's going to cause your filters to be more effective. You're not going to have as much wastewater. You're going to have a better output of good, clean water. So overall water waste is going to be less. At 40, at that low point, you're going to be making a ton of wastewater compared to good water. So something to consider, there are booster pumps. If you're just in a low pressure area and yours is coming out at 40 or even less, get a booster pump. It's just going to be better for your long-term filter usage, you know, that kind of stuff. So not everyone has super good water pressure.
Right.
Next one is, we'll talk about TDS in a minute. On the top here, and this is already installed on the unit, this is called a flush kit. And what you see right here is in the closed position. So it's perpendicular to the line. This is closed. You do not want to run the unit with it open. So what you're going to do is before or after you make water, you're going to actually just open it for about 10 seconds. And you're going to hear water speeding through the unit really quickly. And this is what it's actually doing, is it's cleaning the membrane. So it's rushing water quickly over the membrane, and it's going to take a lot of that stuff that it's accumulating and rinse it off. And it's going to actually make your membrane last a lot longer. If you leave this open and you're making water, you're going to waste a whole bunch of water, and you're also going to blow out your sediment and carbon filter a lot faster. So you're going to waste them. So make sure you always turn that back. You should be able to notice because the unit's way loud when that's open.
Yeah.
Like you can hear that. Your unit in general should be pretty quiet. And then TDS meter, the way we know that your RO unit is working the way you want it. So what we do is this has 2 spots that it tests your TDS. And what you want to do is you want one coming out from the membrane, the water that's going to the DI. So that's going to tell you how efficient your membrane is running. Because as it gets older, the TDS is going to rise of what's coming out of it. And then the final one is going to be on your good byproduct water that you're going to be using into your vats and for your aquariums. And that lets you know, okay, if it's gone above 1, 2, 3, something like that, you want to change your DI.
Okay.
So it helps tell you when it's time to change your filters so that you don't start making bad water. They're, you know, done for and you're still making water and just starting to increase that TDS that's going in. I've seen some people put it on their input. We don't need to know how bad your tap water is. We already know it's bad. So don't test that. You only have 2 prongs. So you definitely, I've seen a ton of units that come like pre-assembled with it coming on the input. I'm like, you don't need to test your tap water.
Yeah, we already know that's junk.
That's why you have an RO unit. So general rule, if you have a small tank, these 2 filters probably change every 4 or 5 months. You know, they do have a gallon rating, but I don't think anyone's going to sit there and calculate exactly how many gallons has gone through. So just as a thing, larger tank, I recommend like every 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
If you make a whole bunch of water, probably once a month just to be safe. Because these are your like gatekeepers to the membrane and everything else, which is the membrane's much more expensive to replace than your pre-filters. Membrane usually is going to last you a year or 2. If you're keeping these changed and you're like using your flush kit and stuff, membrane does not get changed often at all, which
What's
is great.
the telltale for that to be replaced?
Your TDS.
TDS.
Yeah, so kind of figure this way. When your RO unit's new, that membrane's going to put out, after it kicks out all the bad, it's going to put out about a TDS of 2. So that 2 is going to your DI. Your DI now only has to take 2 to 0. As it gets a little bit older, you're going to see 5. Then it's going to be 10. Now your DI is taking 10 to 0. Your DI is going to go 5 times faster now. You know, usually once I hit that like 10 mark, I say go ahead and change it, because you're just going to start using DIs a lot faster, and those are going to add up faster in cost than it is just to change your membrane early on. And then your DI, change above 2.
Nice.
I think that's all of it.
This is one of the easiest streams for me.
I didn't see that. Nice.
So they're easy.
Good
They're
job.
very simple.
No,
Thanks.
that was actually quite amazing. I think that the amount of information, valuable information you just gave is amazing. You guys need to bookmark this stream or share it if you know somebody that needs to get into RODI, because that was great information.
There's a lot up here. There's a whole bunch.
Our head's full of aquarium knowledges.
It is, it is. So hopefully that makes people a lot more comfortable like getting into an RO unit. You know, they're not scary, they're not difficult. They're gonna make your life so much easier, and they're gonna make your aquarium so much happier. So definitely something to consider if you're not currently using one.
Yes, and if you guys don't know already, we do have this is the Waterbox RODI unit. Jess basically took everything that the way she likes her RODI configured, and that's what we have here. So it's got all the necessities, the pressure gauge, the TDS, the flush kit.
Yeah, because most units
valve.
out there don't come with those accessories. Like you have to buy the ASO. You have to. I mean, a pressure gauge is pretty standard, but like the TDS, the dual inline TDS, the ASO kit and float. Usually those are add-on accessories, but I feel that almost everyone needs those things. So, like you said, we kind of build our products exactly how we use and we want, and this is exactly. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe a booster pump if your pressure really sucks.
We've had these for a while now. When did we release these? It's over a year ago, right? At least.
Over a year ago, yeah.
And they've been wildly popular. So, if you guys are looking for one of those, waterboxaquariums.com. Again, I see a lot of questions rolling in. If you got questions, post them below. That's why we're here live. If you haven't already, the currency to win, we're giving away some swag, right?
Yeah, 2 shirts.
Okay. Is number 1, liking the stream, which is mandatory. Subscribing to the channel. Hit that notification bell.
Yeah, I think it's question time.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
I keep hearing overall 5 stage is the way to go. Is that true?
I mean, there's no harm. Absolutely no harm in getting a 5-stage, even if you have a smaller aquarium. Like I said, it's going to extend how long you need between having to open the canisters and change the filters. And it does give you that fail safe. If your first DI, you're in the middle of making water, you didn't really check your TDS, weren't paying attention, suddenly it's letting out 5 or 10 out of your DI. You've got that second one to kind of catch that and then bring it to 0. Thing is, I mean, the 5-stage is a little bit more expensive. But if that's not really a concern, 5 is always going to be something that'll grow with you and just lessen how much you change filters.
This next question might be repeated a couple times because it kept coming in.
Okay.
So I don't know if I picked it a couple times.
It's a popular question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was reading the comments. Hey, Waterbox Sam, how do I know when to change the membrane and the cartridges?
Yep, so make sure you have a TDS meter. If you do not, you have an RO unit that doesn't have one, get one. It's your best friend. So membrane, I say somewhere between 5 and 10 TDS coming out of the membrane. Go ahead and change it. The DI is going to be over 2. I mean, some people may let it go longer, but that's kind of my general rule. First sediment and carbon, kind of every 2 to 4 or so months, depending on how much water you make. There's no way to really test for these guys, so just change them regularly. They're pretty cheap.
Sky King says he's got a 10-stage RODI.
Huh. That's excessive.
Musical's asking, do people just have a huge bucket to hold their RODI water?
I mean, you're just not a bucket. So Brute trash cans, great. They got wheels.
Very popular, yep.
You can store them away. You can drill into them really easily to put the float valve. Like here, just because we do make a lot of water, we have a lot of tanks. We've got 175-gallon water vats. One holds fresh, and I can let it just keep full with the float valve. And then we've got the other one that we can move water into to mix salt. So it really depends on what your space available is and also what scale of water you need. On a small scale, absolutely. You can just have some 5-gallon buckets lined up. I'll warn you, and I've done this many times, is you hook it up to your sink and you're like, I'm gonna go fill a 5-gallon bucket, and then suddenly you get busy, you go run an errand, you go to bed, and you wake up, and you go squish, squish when you walk into your,
my living room's
so
a
many
pool
times.
now.
So if you are gonna do it by bucket, still install this, because it's your safety feature. As much as you wanna say you're not gonna do it, you're gonna flood something.
Yeah.
So many times I did that.
Yeah, I've done that a number of times. I literally, no joke, destroyed the carpet in a majority of the house.
Yeah. I've gone to bed, and when I woke up, the first thing I was like, well, I'm not gonna say the words, but wasn't good. And then I just like water everywhere.
Here, when we were transitioning between the studio and here.
No, y'all broke a nozzle. Y'all broke a nozzle.
Kind of. We deal with a lot of water, so you never know where water's coming from. Just to let you guys know, on that last question, if you guys are curious how we set up our water vat system, we do have a video, so just go search water storage on our channel and you'll find that.
Yep.
Why do silicates pass through my unit and will separate? Am I reading that wrong?
Separation and anion chambers eliminated.
Maybe carbon and...
I'm not really sure of the question. I mean, nothing should pass through your unit if all the canisters are properly changed or, not exhausted. So definitely, if you have something coming out besides a pure water molecule, check TDS, check filters, all of that. It might be time just to go ahead and do a full clean out and switch.
If Tom is still here, ask the same question again with the proper spelling, and I'll put it up.
Okay. I'm trying to guess it. Carbon and...
We'll go to the next.
Thanks, Tom. Quick question. I have an all-in-one 65.4 Peninsula. The last chamber where the return pump is, the water runs all the way down. Any tips on how to stop that from happening?
So where your return pump is on an all-in-one and in a sump system is where your evaporation happens. You should be topping off really daily on an all-in-one, sump, anything like that, because the water level in the tank's going to stay the same. The first 2 chambers are going to stay pretty consistent. That third pump chamber is where the water is going to drop. So also, if it's a saltwater tank, that water dropping means your salinity is going up. Mm-hmm. Auto top-off units are your best friend because you don't have to worry about it. Put something down below that holds a couple gallons of water. It's going to keep it for you. But top off that chamber every day because that pump's going to eventually burn out. It kicks bubbles into the tank, which stresses corals and fish out when there's just a whirlwind of bubbles because it's running low. So
Tom's asking, how do I know when my carbon canister needs replacement?
So you don't. Like I said, I say change it more frequently than you think you need to because, I mean, they're like $6-8, something like that. Mm-hmm. Pre-filters are pretty cheap. If you make a lot of water, say every 2 months. If you make a whole crazy amount of water, just change it once a month. If you're kind of medium to lower, probably every 4 months. There are gallon ratings for them, but that gets more complicated.
Yeah. Jim's asking, I wonder how the ICP RODI unit accurately measures the whole process and makes sure it's working good.
I don't know.
I guess, is he saying maybe is there a RO that, no.
Guess a
How do
different
you
test.
ensure your RO and TDS are reading correctly?
I mean, your TDS is a pretty standard. I mean, the good thing about like an inline TDS, so I guess maybe it depends on how they're doing it. Inline TDS is actually in a, all right, well, I don't think it has it on here, but it goes into a connection that's running through the line. So it doesn't really have any exterior influences on it because it's just into the T, and those prongs have where the water goes through. I imagine, if your unit's older, take those out, kind of clean around them with a Q-tip. Handheld TDS meters do not test well because basically once you take this RO water, RODI water, and you put it, say, in a plastic container because you want to test your TDS, it can pull TDS from your plastic container. So it's going to read off. So the inline TDS is definitely the most accurate way.
Tons of questions.
On a 5-stage, can you change only one DI resin filter if the other did not change color?
Absolutely. Yep.
There you go. What can you do with wastewater? Usually fill the washer with it if there's a load of laundry ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, the washing machine's a great idea. If you've got a garden, go just let it, or even your yard, just let it go out there. It's just tap water. You know, you've got, if you have a pool, lead it out there. I mean, you can really, if you are very water conscious, let that go into some kind of holding container, and you can use that around the house for really anything, because it's just tap water.
Yep. Currently using an RODI. Recently did an ICP test and have high silicon kits. Which filters should I replace?
I mean, if silicone is making it all the way through the unit, I would replace everything. Because, I mean, it shouldn't be making it through your membrane or your DI.
Yeah.
But I would say, if you're changing a membrane or a DI and these haven't been changed in a while, definitely change your sediment and carbon as well. But also, if you're ICP testing your RODI water, you have to understand, like, what did you put it in to go ICP test it? Like, how accurate is it once it's left the unit? Like, for that kind of test and stuff, so.
Hidden gentleman, is there any reason to change carbon and sediment filter if pre-membrane TDS is only like 3 after 6 months of use?
Pre-membrane TDS. I don't know how you would have water before the membrane going all the way to 3. So maybe post-membrane TDS. Yeah, so like I said, the carbon and sediment, unless you're not making much water at all, I would probably definitely change it for that 6 months mark. Because it's just going to prolong the life of your other,
I'm sorry.
your other
Sometimes
stuff.
I look at the comments and there's good stuff down there.
I think you read the one I'm reading.
Is it okay to save the wastewater from the unit to serve to my sister-in-law when she comes into town?
Absolutely.
You drink the Evian, she drinks the wastewater.
Seems fair.
All right, sorry. Here we go.
I have a whole house water softener and it made a huge difference in the overall health of my plants and fish. This 5-stage is a great way to avoid the huge cost with the same result.
True. Yeah. Joe he does beautiful high-tech and low-tech planted aquariums. Like I said, it is still very commonly used in the freshwater world for plants and stuff like that. It's just adding things back into it that you need for whatever you're doing.
Thank you, Joe. I have a 4-stage and would like to add a 5th extra carbon for chloramines. Can I purchase an individual canister or do I need to upgrade the whole system?
The chloramine one is tough because if it was just adding another DI, that's easy because they make little mount brackets, so you can just add that. So with adding a chloramine is you need to install it in here. So I mean, technically, yes, you could probably change this line out, have your carbon mount, your chloramine carbon mounting as close to as possible, and then just reroute it back to reroute it to here, and then it'll go through as normal. But I think you can also, like, there's third party and stuff that make new brackets if you want to extend your canisters.
Right.
So you could, because everything comes off of the hanging bracket, so you could get a new longer bracket, a new canister, and basically reinstall. So it's all in one longer line. Still gonna be cheaper than a whole brand new unit.
I'm on a well and RO wastes too much water, so I've been using a 3-stage filter carbon.
Okay.
Is it the same autocorrect from the last one?
No. So the guy answered it, and I wanted to mention it, but I didn't want to really.
So this is a home drinking system, is basically what this one is.
Somyon says cations and anions are the components of a mixed bed DI resin.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Got it.
So they're real words. I just don't know anything about them. With decent results, resin lasts about 2 months, then I regenerate them. Any comments?
No, I mean, if it's working for you, then, you know, keep doing what you're doing. The only thing I would say is maybe just invest in a TDS meter, just so you know, kind of like, maybe it needs to be every month and a half, or maybe 2 months is too soon because your TDS really isn't getting too high. And it also depends, are you using it for a reef tank, a freshwater tank, a fish only, kind of what is in a reasonable range. But TDS is always good to be able to check, and an inline one is going to be so much more accurate than using like a handheld TDS.
Thank you, Tim.
2 more questions.
Just purchased a 105 frag. Would 2 Hydra 32s cover the tank well?
Yeah, that'd be great.
For sure.
It'll look beautiful.
1 more question.
When assembling the MarineX plumbing, do you suggest using a grease or lubricant between the joints for a stronger seal?
No, I mean, for the plumbing, it's all got O-rings, gaskets, stuff like that. I wouldn't go asking at like adding anything else really to it. Doesn't need it. You know, maybe over long term, or if you like undo the plumbing and it dries out and you like don't use the tank for a while, you want to put new O-rings and gaskets in, but you shouldn't have to use any kind of like sealants and stuff on the plumbing itself. Plug and play, man. Just twist a few together and you're up and rolling with your plumbing.
That's the beauty of that plumbing kit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good questions.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Again, that's why we're here. We're going to give away some swag.
All right. 2 shirts. The most comfortable shirts.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have them?
Ready?
All right. We are ready.
Waterbox drum roll. Congratulations, Connor and Tom. Email winners@waterboxaquariums.com and they will get you hooked up with your new swag. We give away something every week.
Yep. You never
Whether
know
it be
what,
swag, aquariums. I saw some people requesting gift cards,
Oh, we
which
should
is a
do
great
that.
idea.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't do that more. I think that was Evan that
We
suggested
gave salt
that.
away recently, filter socks, a little bit of everything. You never know what's going to
Yeah.
be. Gift cards, good idea. We should
Yeah,
put that away.
appreciate the tip.
I don't know why we don't think of that. And of course, we are back here next Thursday.
Yes. So next Thursday, do you guys like new products? Because I do.
Yes, I'm very excited.
We have a brand new product that we're announcing next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You guys do not want to miss that. So definitely tune in for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you then.
See you guys. Thank you all for watching. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And also remember, you can visit us online at waterboxaquariums.com.
Also join our official Facebook group. Thanks for watching live. See you next week.
You